And we're live. Hello and welcome, everybody. Sorry for the couple minutes of delay there. I just rushed home to sort of get going here. Um, let's see. Bear with me for a moment here. I didn't even take the time to change my banner. How embarrassing! Oh my goodness, so embarrassing. Um, Let me get comments set up here. Dean, good evening. David, hello. James, good evening. If you guys are watching, let me know in the comments so I know who I'm chatting with. In sort of a surprise addition to the video today, please welcome back my favorite GI Joe commentator and news deliverer. I suppose he's a news anchor of sorts. My anchor for sure. Christopher McLeod, Mr. Diagnostik 80.
It rhymes with anchor. Thanks, buddy. Much appreciated. Like I haven't had enough of this tonight already. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, if people don't know, you just did your own two hour live stream reactions. And I said, hey, I messaged you and I said, hey, if you're up for it. And you said, oh, you want me to jump on? And I was like, well, no, I mean, I was more joking than anything.
I love that because I thought when I first saw the message, I was like, "You want me to be involved?" And I kind of I looked at the question out. I said, "You want me to be on?" And then I thought, "Oh no, I've made him like he's probably going to think, no, I just meant just watch." And then I got all worried that you were going to be like, "I'm too embarrassed to say no, don't come on." Just yeah. So no, I get it, man. I totally understand. Yeah, 2 hours, man. I'm knackered. Hi guys. Hi everyone who's probably just watched me for 2 hours talking crap and yeah. Anyway, yeah. What a day, eh? What a day.
What absolutely, man. And I'm gonna start this video off by saying if you didn't like the reveals, that's great. Feel free to leave now because you're not gonna get a negative reaction out of me. I thought the reveals were fantastic. I love them. I think I'm like you, Chris. I think bring on the repaints. I mean, more figures is always good for the line. It's more money going back into the line. So if you don't like the repaints, I get it. If you comment about it, I'm probably not going to bring your comment up unless it's sort of cleverly worded or it's got something more to it than that. But to be honest, like, and I'm not prepared. Like I said, I'm just gonna. I just realized what I'm gonna do is actually pull up stuff that you posted because I know that you've got all the pictures there that I could possibly need.
Do you know what? I had those pictures a lot earlier than Fan First Tuesday as well.
I can imagine.
And I've had to like sit on it like it's a blooming time bomb, I tell you.
I was sort of following your oh, actually, I know where I can find him. I was following your upload of the pictures, and I was like, man, he's fast. He's getting them on as they're like revealing these pictures.
I also because I kind of anticipated the order based on the order with which I had them, and it was pretty military how they did it, and so I just basically had them ready to go. Had like classified Dusty or whatever, and then they took it, and here's Dusty, and I was like, send. I'm not having these on me any longer.
Like, wait, yep, yeah, there it is.
Blonk, yeah, that happened a lot today.
Well, I mean, it worked out well because I was trying to share pictures with people that couldn't watch the feed, so I'm trying to like feverishly get them pictures, and I quickly realized that I could get them from your very quickly and efficiently. So
glad I could help on that one.
But let's just get right into it. I mean, let's not waste any time. Although I am going to give one very quick shout out. Larry says, hey, Larry reached out to me first thing this morning. Larry is a Pulse Premium member, and he said, hey, I might have early access. Do you want me to order you one of the exclusives? Because we don't know when we're going to get them in Canada. And
that's nice. That's something I should have done for you. I feel really bad now. Thanks, Larry.
Well, Larry did that for me. I was actually lucky enough. He got an extra bazooka and an extra Recondo for me. And then I was lucky enough to actually get them myself. So now he may have extras if anybody missed. And I sort of did the exact same thing, and they had a a maximum of 2 per figure.
Oh yeah,
so I got a couple extras, and I've already sort of spoken to somebody and helped somebody else out. So, just that's kind of the goal and the dream of the group, right? It's like the everybody's going to help each other out. It's not always going to be the case. You're always going to have people in the group that are sort of, there's a spectrum of people within the group. We'll leave it at that. But Larry, I just wanted to say thank you. That was
who's he talking about, guys? Who's he talking about? Put it in the comment. I'm kidding. Which one of you is he talking about? I'm
well, you know what the weird thing is, in any group, I think it's sometimes the ones that you don't even notice, right? It's people that aren't active often. So
Bill myself, just sit in the background, don't do anything about it. Just
just
don't
sort of
talk.
wait, and then they sort of jump on the opportunity, and it is what it is. I mean, what are you going to do about it? But
true that.
But let's get into it. Speaking of repaint, speaking right away, first reveal, a repaint.
This was funny enough. This was one of those things where I knew quite a way in advance that Ariel was a Snake Eyes and Timber set. Couldn't say anything, obviously. Didn't say anything. And when it kind of came, when it came to light what the actual repaint was going to be, I was interested. I will say I'm surprised because there's an opportunity here for Snake Eyes to have like a winter jacket or to have some sort of completely different deco.
Mm-hmm.
And they went very, very close to the deluxe, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, it'll be interesting because you mentioned this in your live stream too, but like the 3D renders don't always do the colors justice and stuff.
Oh, the colors definitely, yeah. I mean, that background's really bright, isn't it? The image is quite dark. Yeah, I think we'll probably see a little bit more. I think they're green pants, aren't they? Green pants with
that's
like
what I'm
black,
hoping for.
Like where there's like texture around the upper thigh. There's like different panels. I think those panels are black. Yeah, interior and exterior.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got green, and then you've got the black knee pads, the black patella, and then black boots, and then like grey belts and secondaries. But it's very difficult to get a good gauge of it.
Yeah. Well, and they've done, I mean, yeah, and I think there's a couple other things like the forearm sort of armor cuff thing seems to have a green strap to match on the inside.
Yeah.
It looks as though the knife sheath is the commando knife sheath.
Look how close I'm having to get. Look how close I'm having to get to see it.
Does that annoy you when you have to do that? And
yeah. What is annoying is I could just look on my phone, couldn't I? Like in a much better picture, and like not have people look up my nostrils the entire time.
Are you looking at like a 4-inch computer monitor screen? Like, why do you have to get so close?
Why am I? Yeah, because I'm old now, mate. That's why.
It's just a field of a depth of field issue. But it looks to me like he's got the green pants, a couple more green details. The arm straps, the belt, the sort of chest harness looks to be gray. The visor is silver. He's got the lace-up boots, which is kind of cool. It does feel like a different figure. Like it doesn't. I get this sort of the sense that a repaint is a little bit lazy. But in some ways, to me, like a repaint is more of a challenge because how do you make it different enough that it's marketable?
Yeah, they've definitely achieved that with some of the other reveals today, in my opinion.
But I mean, Timber for me was possibly the figure of 2021.
100%.
So to get another deco, I'm very happy about.
And it's white as well, vintage figure homage. I like it.
I like, I like the one that we got. It's kind of got that Sunbow cartoon look, but I think this one is sort of more Real American Hero vintage figure version 2
Agreed.
inspired.
Agreed.
I also like this. I like the combination of these together. Like I think the sort of visored version with timber makes a little more sense. Um, I mean, this is a definite buy for me.
Why hasn't
Um,
Timber got a visor? Come on, missed opportunity. Come on.
well,
And
that
why
should
isn't he
come,
wearing a winter jacket? Come on, Hasbro.
but I mean, we'll get that pack, right, of Snake Eyes and Shipwreck and Polly and Timber all in
Saturn's band.
their
I hope so.
alternative costume decos. Um, yeah, David makes a good point. Join the full first Patreon SAS membership. You may have known as I knew. You did say, Chris, like you couldn't tell anybody. That's not entirely true. You did
Yeah, I
tell
was lying.
other people. There were some people that knew that this was coming, and I was all for it. Before I saw the reveal, or I guess I was open to the idea before the reveal, and
Yeah.
after the reveal, I thought it was a fantastic. It's a fantastic addition to the line. Kevin says Snake Eyes seemed really strange for a fourth version. If close to deluxe, good way to get that. Arctic Snake Eyes may have made more sense. Yeah, maybe.
Agreed.
But I mean, this is just the figure, right? This isn't the accessory. So maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's something about the sort of the pack out that we haven't seen that might add more value, more interest to this figure. Christian says, I'm looking at it like a Timber Deluxe that comes with Snake Eyes.
Brilliant. I'm getting a vibe from this Snake Eyes of I want to say, the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover box set with
100%.
Hound. You
Yep.
know, when it was like the green pants.
Yes.
The black, yeah. I'm getting that kind of vibe from it. Like they were thinking, oh well, people will like this because it kind of homages that. But I think I would have liked them to have gone like crazy with the Alpha Commandos and done a version 4 repaint of the Alpha Commando Snake Eyes.
Yes.
And given us a white snake, white Timber with it. I think that would have been
a white snake version of Snake Eyes.
A white snake version of Timber. What?
But again, like repaints, we're gonna get that, right? Oh, those are great. I'm on the fence about ordering those because they'd have to come a long way, and I just feel like they'd get smacked.
It would be dust by the time it got to you, wouldn't it? It'd be sand. It would have reverted back to its original form. Sorry, yeah.
Larry says this, but I actually have a response to this. Larry asks, but do we really need 5 Snake Eyes?
The main character in the entire brand, yeah.
Probably. My answer is, as somebody who started, like my sort of 2021, I started, and it's sort of an ongoing goal, is to collect all the versions of Snake Eyes. So for me, yes, give me more. Bring on the variants, the new versions. I will be the guy, investing in this line for all the people that are going to pass on these. I've got the Fortnite one on the way.
Yeah.
I'll get this one as soon as it comes up. Bring on an Arctic version. Bring on sort of an unmasked. The what did they call them in that 3-pack? The
classified.
Yeah, they didn't even call them anything because that was like
brilliant. And I also love that figure. I love that figure. It's great because it's got that tiny little picture of his sister in his hand. So
and they
good.
There's like shade
under the eyes, yeah.
Under the eyes, so that it's still kind of, it's so good.
A friend of mine,
a version that I don't like.
An absolute amazing friend of mine who Jim Godfrey, who makes incredible customs, made me modern versions of that long-range reconnaissance patrol, like little 4-inch versions, and they are incredible. But yeah, that original comic pack figure, that's one of my favorite Snake Eyes figures from it's not even the vintage line, is it? It came out in the comic packs in like 2000 something. But yeah,
it's still
love it.
Adjacent.
It's vintage adjacent. I like it.
It's not my. I mean, it's funny too because, like I said, in sort of starting to collect all the versions, there's like 68 4-inch versions or whatever. And I say 4-inch versions. There's
There's more now.
well, that's not even Sigma 6. That's not 12-inch. That's not classified versions. I got a couple Funko Pop ones, and it goes.
I want to do a proper count of how many Snake Eyes they've done in all, like that you could kind of say is, action figure, like an actual action figure. But then also, I want to see every time they've used Snake Eyes for a pop or like a little keychain thing or something. Just I want to see how many times he's been used.
Lapel pin, mug.
If you're going into the proper merch stuff, I was thinking like little figures, but no, like if you're going into like everything, then it's game over, isn't it?
Every G.I. Joe product has Snake Eyes.
Infinite.
And it's just like, and so, they're gonna make versions that people don't love, but for everybody that doesn't like it, there's somebody like me that does want it. You know what I mean? Like, I doubt I'll ever see a version of Snake Eyes where I'm like, hard pass. No, that's not my Snake Eyes.
You probably would have passed at the time I dressed up as Snake Eyes with that costume that we got sent to us from Hasbro. My goodness, that was
No, I want that costume. I've been trying to find one.
Just not me in it. You want the costume, just not with me or whatever I've left inside it in it.
You know what? So you cut that video like from opening the box to getting dressed in the costume. I think there should have been like an outtake reel with you to wiggle into that costume.
You did not want to see it. It was like when they say you don't want to see how the sausage gets made. Well, it looked like how sausage. Yeah, it looked like how sausage gets made. Anyway, this is a family show. What are we doing?
Facebook user says there's a total of 5 Snake Eyes now in the classified line.
Minimum.
And I love them all.
What have we got? So we've got deluxe, we've got version, we've got retail 0.2, 2.0, would you say?
B.
Even though it's only a packaging change and a red dot. But anyway, you've got to count it, I guess.
I had to get
Fortnite,
yep.
Which isn't out yet. This one, that's 5. Right?
And the Commando one.
Oh, Alpha Commando. So 6 if you count
technically 6.
If you count, even though they don't count it because it's not a field variant, you've got like a variant-ish retail too, haven't you? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
To me, if it's different, you got to get it. So I had to get it.
Agreed.
Facebook user, please go to streamyard.com/Facebook.
No, I like the mystery. The mystery, Adam. I think it's amazing. I'm just going to say it's Ron Rudat is speaking to us right now, just like he was speaking to us on the other stream.
I don't think he's in our group, but it could very well be somebody like that. But did
they say Renegades or Resolute? Because I missed what they said on the stream, and then I heard 2 people saying lots. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Adam, go on.
I went back actually while I was watching your stream. I went back and sort of skipped to that moment. It's Tim here. Okay,
hi, Tim.
And I heard Resolute as well, but then when I went back, Lenny said, so for the inspiration, we went to Renegades Resolute. Like no pause, no hesitation. So then I went and sort of Google searched those, and they're not quite the same. So it's kind of like,
well,
I get what I think he's saying is that he wanted to do a version that was sort of outside of the all black versions that people are kind of used to, and sort of went to get some inspiration from other versions, other media versions that we've.
Was he talking about the design of Snake Eyes himself, or was he talking about the deco choice?
I'm pretty sure he was talking about the deco because it's,
okay.
I mean, reuse figure. But I mean, also as somebody that loves to kit bash figures and kind of swap parts and kind of find combos that I like, this is great. This is a lot of fun because it's sort of like, gives me more possibilities, like especially if I get a couple of these, because I probably will because of the timber. Um, I think I love the green pants. I love the gray because it sort of mixes it up. But yeah, I mean, in terms of versions that we could have had, maybe this one is not the most exciting. Other versions that I thought of, you mentioned version 4, which I'm absolutely certain that we'll get, because I think that Commando version is a very easy
Lends itself well. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. When I like as soon as I saw it, I thought to myself, okay, it looks as though they've fashioned like his harness and a couple other things.
Yeah.
So all they have to do is change the color and away they go. But I wonder if we would see a what was that, Rob Liefeld? It was
Dead
in
game.
my head, and we're live, and so I forgot it as soon as I wanted to say it.
Dead game.
Dead game. Yeah. The red Dead game version, I think would look phenomenal. Just take that first version and do it red, the red ninja, and you're done. And
that's a good shout.
So
that's a good shout considering considering it's quite recent. They've already done it in 3.0. It would not be a surprise if they wanted to go the kind of Liefeld way with it, just as, you know, because obviously Liefeld has a huge following. Yeah. So yeah, it's a surprise they didn't do that, honestly, with their love of crimsonizing everything. Crimsonizing isn't a word. It's not a word.
Should be.
Is now.
It's the G.I. Joe lexicon, I think.
It's like Pythonizing. You know, they Pythonize the vehicles and all that kind of stuff. That crimsonizing is when they crimsonize the vehicles.
Oh, and you could you could even do like a story, like even if you didn't use Dead Game as the reference, you could, like, you know, when they brainwashed, not Snake Eyes, but what's his name? The guy who Snake Eyes now got brainwashed and turned into a Cobra,
aka Sean Collins.
Oh, Collins.
Or Dawn Moreno. Is that what you're talking about?
No, Sean Collins. Wasn't it Sean Collins in the comic that got brainwashed or you know, into being a Cobra Snake Eyes?
Oh my God! Yeah, he switched over, didn't he? Was it Snake Eyes Agent of Cobra? Yes.
Not terribly well received, I don't think.
I forgot about that.
But still,
I forgot that whole run existed.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people try to. So what is the snake accessories be? I don't know, and that's what could be very interesting. We shall see. Chad says hello, hey buddy, how's it going? Considering they went with a Renegade's look for Snake Eyes, I kind of hope we get the jacket as an accessory. And maybe, right? Maybe they didn't show us any more on purpose.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Wade is bad. Wade is the guy that was in the Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol, and Sean Collins is Snake Eyes now, basically.
Yeah. It gets very convoluted.
Sean Collins is Wade Collins' son, to make things even more complicated right there. Everyone's connected in the comic. You notice that, like even him and the Baroness are connected. It's like 6 degrees of Snake Eyes for everybody, isn't it?
And it doesn't make it any easier when you're sort of talking about, you know, potential. Kevin says, gotcha. When you're talking about sort of potential characters and stuff. The other day when we were talking about female Doc, and I was like, it's his daughter. No, it's his niece.
It's his niece, yeah.
But there's another person that's connected, and you got all these people that are just it can get.
I love the fact that Carla Greer decided not only did she want to become a doctor just like her uncle, but she wanted to dress exactly like him as well. Zartan.
I was thinking I'd do these in order, but I think that's not even going to happen. So let's.
No, that's correct order, I believe.
Is it?
Yep, because that's what I'm already ahead of you. Look, see. I'm
hoping that if I just sort of skip through the photos that I posted, that they'll just be in order by default. But we'll see. Zartan, quick easy repaint, Walmart retro carded figure. Sorry, just to answer this last question, that the same timber as before. Tim thank you for going to StreamYard and allowing us to see who we are speaking to. It is the same timber, but it is a completely different deco.
Snake Eyes and Tim Muir. Get it? Sorry, carry on.
That's good. That's good.
I want to see a repaint of Tim Muir in the comments, please.
Kevin, I assume we're pretty much assured OG versions of Bazooka, Recondo, and Outback. We will get to that, but I feel like it's a no-brainer. We'll try to discuss these in order because we're already half an hour in and we've done one of many.
How are we half an hour in? Have I talked that much? I apologize. My God.
It's bad when there's one person. I think it's worse when there's multiple people.
Yeah, when me and Pat get going as well, it's crazy. It's ridiculous.
And I should mention too that when I messaged and said, "Hey, do you want to jump on?" You said, "Yeah, maybe for a few minutes." So you're free to leave.
I know I'm gonna have to bounce and by I would say Duke and Ram. I reckon
we'll get through 11 reveals, and you'll be like, "Well, that's it for me."
Yeah, sorry, that's all I can do. I can only do 6 hours. Sorry, Adam.
Zartan, pretty simple repaint. I think it's a great deco. I do like that they redid the eyes. I like that there's a subtle difference to the paint for the sort of the maquillage of the face paint. I like the idea of the retro carded ones. I'm probably gonna get a couple. I mean, I'm looking at Lady J. I'm looking at Gung Ho in a big way. And maybe Baroness, because Baroness, I think I can do, I can do sort of like a female trooper, like a female kind of Baroness.
Interesting.
Assistant or something with the helmet that they came with for the motorcycle one or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's options there. Zartan, I'm looking at Zartan. I'm hoping that his skin tone is different than the standard release because the skin tone on the standard doesn't lend itself to kit bashing because it's a weird pale kind of swampy gray color.
There you go.
It's more of sort of a natural skin tone because if it is, then I'll buy it.
Yeah, I'm only really in for these because of the card backs, honestly. It's not a line that blows me away, but it does occasionally there'll be one in there that's like, whoa, like Gung Ho, for example. Lady J, I'm absolutely excited to get that in hand because all the new accessories.
Yeah.
Destro to a degree because they've gone with like the shinier helmet and gauntlets and everything. But still, I look at Destro and Baroness and I see, and it's a bit bland.
Yeah. I think what they did with the first version of Destro was so good that it's like hard for them to do it any better.
Yeah.
There are subtle details. Like I like that there's a little bit more red on the collar. The eyebrows put me off, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah.
The black painted eyebrows on the silver dome just doesn't work for me, but we're not talking about those ones. We're talking about these ones. So.
Real life, they would be like holographic, and they'd be just in front of the helmet, and they would like move around. How funny would that be? Holographic eyebrows.
Emotive, they could still, but they would be extremely emotive. So it would be like
really like 8-bit. Yeah. Anime. Yeah.
It would be like a Pixar animation type thing where it would just be like really, really obvious. Amazing. You'd be like, "Oh, he's angry. I can tell because his eyebrows changed angles."
I noticed somebody, was it David Bax in the comments, said that do you think he will be color changed like the deluxe? But I don't think he will, personally.
No, I don't think so either. And somebody asked that in the post. So I posted, all the digital reveals, and I posted in another post all the physical reveals. And somebody asked about Zorana, if she would be color changed, and I said I really don't think so. I do suspect.
Too expensive.
Well, yeah, and I mean I do think though that there's a possibility after they release Xandar to maybe do a 2-pack of Zorana and Xandar with color change and a few more accessories as like an event exclusive or something like that. But for the standard line, I just don't see it. And because they didn't mention it, I think they would mention it if it was. So I think it's a pretty safe bet that it's.
What's their surname? What's their second name? Zartan, Zorana, Xandar, Zanya.
I bet it starts with a Z.
I bet it's something really rubbish like
Or it's like Smith.
Mullington Worth.
Yeah.
It's Mullington Worths. Sorry, carry on. Sorry, Mullington Worth was the most random, stupid name I could come up with.
Their their mother it was Irish. Their father was a squid, and that's where they got their color change.
What was she doing with the squid? We found a show. We don't want to know. That's a good point from Tristan, by the way. I'm good on Zartan until I do Ninja Force. 100%.
Well, absolutely, and that's I think we talked about that version on another video, and I think that Ninja Force version, at the rate that they're pumping out Zartan, they'll have to do that one at some point. So I think that's, again, I think that one's a lock, and I think
we'll get Ninja Force Roadblock before we get Ninja Force Zartan.
And we'll get Ninja Force Snake Eyes, and people will be like, not another Snake Eyes. Like, there's just a lot of versions. Like, what do you... people want those versions. Kevin said, cool. If on Zartan, got to say, absolutely love the first version. You don't feel the need to update. Yes, and I get that. I think that's... I do genuinely think that there's an understanding sort of at Hasbro that not everybody is going to buy every version that they release. I think they have to know that, and I have to think that they're just doing what they can to sort of make them different enough that maybe they'll appeal to somebody slightly different. I mean, I know a lot of G.I. Joe guys that don't collect classified, that when they saw the Crimson Guard, we'll get there, but when they saw the Crimson Guard, they're like, I've never ordered a classified figure and I got 3 of these, kind of thing. So
yeah,
I think they're just hoping that, you know, the whatever figure they release sort of lands with somebody, because not everybody's gonna be like you and I and love every single figure.
Well, it's not even a case of love now, it's just a case of like awful habit of just being like, oh look, a G.I. Joe thing that I must have.
Click, add to cart. Yes, I want to.
A gem like, of that size, etc., etc.
My computer is giving me problems with comments here. Okay, here we go. No, we already saw that one. Do you guys like the ab crunch? I wish they went with a different design. It's tough because you have to balance sort of the engineering of sort of motion with the stability of a figure. I find that when they sort of put that, I'll be interested to see what that bazooka one does. We'll get there. But you know, the female figures have sort of the ball pivot, and I can never get it to line up very well, or maybe I can never get it to line up exactly how I want it.
Yeah, because you've got, like, for those that aren't really aware or don't customize or whatever, you've got that kind of like, it's like 2 balls on a stick, isn't it? Basically,
it's like a barbell.
Yeah, and so if you don't get the bottom one right, the top one could be off a little bit, and vice versa. It takes a little bit of like coaxing to kind of like line them up right. Yeah.
Dean says the new eye paint. I need that head for some photos and shelf fun. Yeah, I mean I'm almost drawn in just by the eye paint.
It's amazing, isn't it, how one tiny change makes you want it so bad.
That was honestly like my one complaint about the first version, was that he just had the white eyes. When we get to the ninjas, I will have one complaint. See if you can guess what it might be.
Is it the Ninja Turtles eyes that they've got?
Tim said Destro is great. Yes, moving on. Anyway.
Funny story. When I was a kid, Zanya's another one. That's his daughter, isn't it? When I was a child, I love that surname, Tristan. Thistlebottom. Yeah, I like that. Thistlebottom. Zartan Thistlebottom. And Zorana Thistlebottom. Zorana, I didn't know it was you. Sorry. I think that, when I was a kid, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures, the Playmates ones, when they first came out, I really loved them. Like, I bought loads of them. I was well into that line. But I really loved the cartoon, and I was a bit confused why the figures had these, like, white eyes and nothing in them. So I got a blooming a marker pen and I put black dots in there, and like
Mhm.
not very well, because it was one of those pens that didn't take very well to
Yeah, yeah.
so I've
Like
ruined the kids'
Crayola
figures.
marker,
Yeah, it was bad.
washable.
Exactly. So there's like little bits of, it was just like, wet on
Mhm.
their eyes. And it wasn't until later that I picked up the graphic novels from the
Yeah,
original comics,
yeah.
which I shouldn't have had as a kid anyway, but my mom didn't realize they were like more adult themed.
Mhm.
And until I started reading them, I didn't either. And my goodness, it was, I mean, it's violent, is about as much as bad as it got. It wasn't like loads of swearing and sex in
Yeah.
there or anything, but yeah, it was interesting. Anyway, it wasn't until I saw that I was like, oh right, I see what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, it always bugged me they weren't like the animation kind of things, and it's
Yeah.
similar to this, isn't it? It's like, it's cool that he's got these green eyes now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the green eyes kind of remind me a little bit more of the character. But that being said, like the white eyes are inspired from the vintage figure. So it kind of comes down to like what's your source material? What's your sort of original impression of these? And on a side note, related to what you were saying, my first exposure to Ninja Turtles was actually the comic book. I was at a summer camp, and a friend of mine got injured playing. Um, I can't remember what we were playing, like kickball or something like that, right? And so they got injured and went inside with one of the like camp counselors or whatever, and we were just hanging out. And he's like, "Hey, let me show you this comic book." And I was like, "What is this?" So the eyes never bothered me. The cartoon bothered me because I was like, no, this isn't what they're supposed to be like. But anyway,
Yeah, they're supposed to be like bad and like really,
yeah,
cool and
yeah.
like ninja and have no just white eyes. I
Um,
That's funny, by the way, David, as well. Save money, paint your own eyes.
yeah, yeah. We've already got two versions, so just use one of those and paint those eyes.
Done.
But there is, I mean, they did mention that the makeup is different, right? So the makeup is more cartoon, like Sunbow inspired again. So like this one I think is more of a Sunbow inspired one than the other version is.
Definitely, definitely.
Which I like, and I say like I'm not gonna get these figures, and then they show up and I'm like, well, I bought them. Um I I should just not go to shops anymore. If I just
Yeah, just
never
don't
went
do
to
that.
shop,
Don't do
I'd
that.
be fine. And yet on my way to work and on my way home, I'm still smiling.
Bumblebee, the snake eyes of Transformers.
But it sort of brings up a good point when people sort of talk about repaints and redecos and all that kind of stuff. Um, Hasbro is not just doing it and hoping that it works. They know that people will buy this stuff. Maybe smaller quantities of some things once you're on sort of version 8 of the same figure that hasn't been updated, but I mean there's still money in it, and if you can make money out of those molds, your profitability is better and your sort of cost per figure effectively goes down in the long term. I think Patrick talked about that in one of your weeklies or monthlies,
Yeah,
where economy of scale, like if they can use that Snake Eyes mold for 30 figures,
they will use it until it runs out of steam. 100%.
then it's effectively a zero overhead figure in a
Yeah,
lot of ways. So it's just generating profit to sort of put back into new molds, right? Like
totally.
that's I think maybe the thing that gets overlooked is that like to get new molds, they have to use those molds to the point of them sort of
There's
generate
this,
profit.
there's this weird balance as well. It's not weird, it's obvious, but there's this balance where, you get the budget, you sink loads of money of that budget into, new tooling as much as you can, but then with the eye on how much can be reutilized, how much can be reutilized, which said the same word twice, and redecoed. And then there's that whole thing of, like you get a yearly budget, and what seems to have happened with classified, what I've noticed a lot in both years, last 2 years, is that you tend to get loads of new characters at the start, and then you start seeing like a lot of repaints towards the end of the year, but then it kind of almost has a refresh again. And it certainly did at the start of this year, where we had Bat, Alley Viper, Crocmaster, Spirit, Storm Shadow, Stalker, Xamot and Tomax, yada yada yada, Zorana, Dusty, Crimson Guard. I mean, like, there's so much, and people are still like, well, you know, it's a lot of repaints. Yeah, we've had tons of figures, and it's April. We haven't had a lot of it in hand, but it
Yeah.
is April.
Mhm.
Like, the same time last year, we had what, four, maybe six at a push if you count in just over that Christmas break. You know,
Mhm. I think, yeah, you make a good point. Would you rather have 10 figures and all of them be completely original, new figures, new mold, nothing reused, nothing sort of a repaint, or 30 figures and sort of 21 or 22 of them are using existing parts? And for me, I'd rather have more options because you don't have, that's the other thing. You don't have to buy every version of Snake Eyes that comes out. If you don't want another version of Zartan, you don't have to buy this version of Zartan. But maybe somebody saw the first version of Zartan and was like, oh no, he needs to have green eyes and slightly different, face paint. And maybe this one speaks to them. So maybe somebody's buying this Zartan that was sort of holding out for this version. I know a lot of people that are sort of passing on Python Patrol stuff, passing on Tiger Force stuff, waiting for sort of original versions, and that's fair. Like I wish I could do that.
yeah.
I wish I could go, yeah, I'll get my bazooka later. But they're like, well, what about
No,
this one in the meantime? And I'm like, well, heck yeah. I mean,
I
but I
don't know, because like,
figure.
for me, like, you only really know yourself, don't you? You only know, like, your own experiences, really, and like how you feel about stuff. When I see these things, I instantly want it. Like, I see
Mhm,
it, like the package all up, and I'm like, oh god, I really want that in my hands right this second. Like,
mhm,
even with the retro card backs, I was like, I really need those four figures right now. I just want to see them. I want them. I want to touch them and look at them and enjoy them. It's the same with everything they've released so far. I get
mhm,
so crazy, like, focused, like, this needs to be in my possession. You
mhm.
know, even if it, and the, I don't know. I don't really have that, like, meh attitude towards a lot of the figures, with the exception of maybe that Snake Eyes that we saw at the beginning. But even then, I'm still like, I need it,
I
100% need it in my hands right now.
there was only one reveal today that I had a meh reaction to, and I'll explain why when I get there. All of the other ones are kind of nitpicky, but I'm also like seeing the value or sort of like seeing the reason. Like I said, that Zartan, that head, in a slightly different deco, like maybe you swap certain parts and it is like the perfect Zartan, but that head, the eyes and the makeup, it's just, or face paint. I say makeup, maybe that sort of
No, call it
rubs
makeup. It's fine. You know,
but
it's sexy makeup.
and sorry if I skip comments because we're not gonna we'd be here all night. As Chris knows, if you try to answer all of them, you'll never get anywhere.
I'm going to be here all night
Um,
because I keep talking. Sorry.
any chance that the Swamp Ski or Zartan's chopper could be made? Yes, but do I care if it is or not? Nah, no. The
But I
Swamp
also
Skier was
feel like
oh,
we've had good opportunities for the Swamp Skier to be included with any one of these stands, and it hasn't happened. And I
yeah.
wonder if there's a reason for that. I don't know.
Maybe they just don't want to bother with it. I don't know. I mean, who knows? But we'll leave speculation to, I don't know, Saturday's video. We'll speculate all the things that they sort of could have or should have included.
Maybe they thought it looked goofy. Maybe they mocked it up and it was like, he kind of looks a bit goofy on it. I don't know.
Well,
You
I
never know.
think I think it is a goofy vehicle. Really, when you think about it, like it was tiny in the vintage figure. It came carded on a, or no, it didn't. It
It was a
came in a,
box. It was in a box. Yeah.
but it almost could have. I think in the modern one they did a carded version where it was like even smaller.
I think you're right. Yeah, the 25th. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tyler asks, is it just me or is Zartan releases backwards? Shouldn't today's reveal be color changing deluxe release and the white eyes version be on the retro card back? Kind of. I don't disagree, right? Like if you're doing sort of the vintage figure inspired, that should be the retro carded one. And if you're sort of
I think that's more a case of the way where they've developed the line and then timed it with other things coming into fray. Like, I think the Walmart
yeah,
exclusive line was very much later in the development process.
yeah.
Before, yeah. Anyway, Yeah,
Kevin
I
asked
agree
any
though.
info at all on the cost of new molds, wondering just how much they're actually saving. Well, it depends. Okay, I don't know the numbers, but I sort of
It's so
do.
expensive.
I do vaguely know how much molds cost, and
It's
for
so
these things,
expensive.
because there's this much articulation, there's actually a lot of molds that have to be made. It's probably roughly $20,000 to $30,000 for molds for one figure.
Keep
It's
going.
not-
Keep going.
well, and that's for like small companies where they're probably getting sort of the budget molds made. These are like really technical molds because there's a lot of parts. There's a lot of details to these molds too, which make them more expensive. Like one mold, so it depends how many molds they need, but one mold can be like $10,000. So
Easily.
it's just sort of how many molds are required, and that's where reuse comes in, right? Like if you can effectively build a figure with zero new molds, you may have cut $50,000 out of the development cost of that figure. So it adds up. Is essentially like the thing. It's like
G.I.
make
Joe lends
one figure, it's
itself,
not a big deal, but when they're doing 30 figures in a year, it's a lot of money.
and G.I. Joe lends itself quite well to kind of acceptable repaints.
Hmm.
So, where you've got like the Tiger Force, where you've got Night Force, Python Patrol, those
Hmm.
kind of things where it's like, the decos do a lot to change it completely. Yeah, I think it lends itself well to do that. And also,
Hmm.
like, we're looking at one right now, which you could easily reuse as a red, teal, rainbow,
I hope they do.
brown,
I hope they do both of those versions.
honestly, brown ninja, brown, the gear. That's what I want to see. In fact, I can't actually. That reminds me. I want to see that Storm Shadow deco that was. I think you talked about it not
Yeah,
so long ago. That beautiful kind of like greeny, camo-y, browny color. Oh, that is amazing. That is.
from like 2004, like when the line was kind of dead, and they were like, "Well, I mean, we still got this mold. Let's pump out a couple more figures." Yeah, the kind of fatigue, the army fatigue green of the
Dope.
version 2 Snake
Dope.
Eyes.
Dope.
So good. It's so good. And if we get that, we'll get a version 2 Snake Eyes. So it's
Which one?
win-win.
Storm Shadow.
Or Storm Shadow. Yeah, sorry. More Snake
You
Eyes.
can't get
I'm good.
can't get Snake Eyes off your brain, can you?
I love Snake Eyes, and
I
anybody that
don't.
complains
He
about
says,
another version of it,
"I
is that
hate Snake Eyes wearing a
is that the
Snake Eyes
British one?
hat,
That's the good one.
wearing a Snake Eyes hoodie. I hate him."
You get like Arashikage underwear on as well.
I'll show you. No, I'm just kidding.
Tim said licensing to Super 7 should pay for new molds for classified figures. Well, I mean, licensing covers some stuff, but I mean, I mean, I don't know how much it sort of. It's expensive. It's expensive to make figures. It's a lot more expensive than people think. I think is
Oh,
the real.
this is the thing. Like people will get into, like starting their own toy line, and until they, until like that first part, which is like paying for the molds, just gets ridiculous.
Mhm.
And a lot of people can't do it. Like there's so many things that you don't factor into it. You really need a lot of experience to go into toy making. It's
Mhm.
not something you can just do like that. It's really ridiculous. It's not something you're going to make money in. Trust me, unless you're
No,
Hasbro.
well, that brings up something that maybe we'll talk about on Saturday too. People talking about price increases and all that kind of stuff. We won't get into that because
Yeah,
I mean, there's so much more going on that sort of isn't at the forefront of the discussions. The only thing I'll say about that, because I thought about this driving home when sort of that sort of press release came out about Hasbro raising their prices. Um, I wonder if they were almost retroactively speaking about the price raise that we've just seen. Like they've just gone up sort of with the last reveal.
yeah.
What that sort of what they were talking about, and then people sort of say, oh, the Russia thing is gonna hit them, and so that's why they raised prices. I think they had to raise prices anyway, and then I think it's like one more thing, right? Like that's just on top of increase in materials cost, increase in labor costs, increase in it, huge increase in transportation costs.
Yeah.
Like all these things just stack up and stack up, and they held the line as long as I think they could, at sort of the price point that we got when the line kicked off.
We haven't seen an increase on this group of figures, have we?
No.
I mean, it's still the same as it was, like you say, back then. I think you're right. I think it was probably like one of those things where that information was related to the previous price increase.
Mhm.
I think people were jumping the gun and going, I'm not paying $30 for a figure. I don't think you'll have to just yet. I think there'll be a little way to go in the inflation market before that happens. But we'll see. We'll see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Tim asks, "Is this the retro carded Storm Shadow?" Yes, Tim, it is.
Sorry, we forgot we were talking about this.
Again, slight color change. I think they've gone a little bit whiter is what they sort of seem to be saying. He has the wrapped arms, the bare fists. I like it. The bare hands is something
Nice.
that I've been waiting for in the line. I mentioned this in your feed. The standard release version comes with the compound bow. A few people were like, "Oh, compound bow. He should have come with the traditional one." Maybe his accessories are a little bit different. Maybe maybe he gets the nunchucks, the
nunchucks, because when you hit yourself with one of them, everything in the was hit goes numb. Is that why?
It looks like there's a couple different, color hits that are sort of a little bit different. I like it. I mean, I'm not. If you're going retro carded, I think this one works.
Yeah.
Not a lot to say about this one. I get this sort of the feeling that like we don't even have the standard one in hand. How dare they release this one?
Yeah.
It's just scheduling. I mean, I don't think there's anything they could
We
do.
know
I don't.
why. Like
I don't
any
think
other
figures.
any other year, we'd have it in our hand. Any other
Yeah.
year, we'd already be, the last few people would be moaning, going, I still haven't got my Storm Shadow from pre-ordering from Pulse, like I would be saying. But, I think that has had a huge effect on the way the fandom has been about the line in recent months. I think if that wasn't an issue, if that shipping mess, the fruity pebbles spilled on the floor mess of shipping that's going on in China right now, if that was fixed, like if that was smooth, I don't think we'd have had any problems getting any of these figures in hand right this second.
Yeah. I mean, for any of you that don't know, the Fruity Pebbles reference is to Chris on another video that he did. Basically showed like the sort of port where in China where all of these ships are waiting to either get loaded or to sort of get unloaded or to whatever, and it was the most absurd thing. There was like hundreds and hundreds of dots which represented ships, and nothing's going anywhere because everything's locked down in China and it's just a mess. So nothing's getting in, nothing's getting out. There was Chinese New Year as well that sort of doesn't help anything.
Do you know what's kind of telling as well? Like when because we're near a body of water, obviously being in Pawtucket, and we went to the beach last weekend, and we were taking Phoebe for a walk, and you're looking out onto the out onto the coast. It's just like tanker, like shipping tank containment units, like kind of tankers, just like literally like 4 or 5 of them in the distance, and you're like, damn, but you never see anything like any other time, and now you're just seeing them everywhere. It's like they're running out of space to park.
Yeah. Tyler asks, okay, after today, do we see Storm Shadow version 2 before year is done? Possible.
I'd love to.
I don't know, because we still haven't seen any other physical Storm Shadow. So maybe not. Maybe they kind of withhold it a little bit longer. But
although the amount of figures we've had so far, it feels like August, not April. So
yeah, that's true.
You say that, but yeah, you're probably right. We probably will see him before the year's done, honestly.
And it's it's funny because we're kind of like with with how much stuff they're pumping out. I get that it's digital renders and it's reveals and pre-orders. But there's a lot of stuff coming out. And it's all going to land. Like, these ships are at some point going to start moving, and it's all going to land, and we're going to be like, where am I going to put all this stuff? Like, we're going to have opposite problem that we do now. So like all the people, you know, and I don't mean to sort of get on people for complaining. They're legitimate complaints. I'm maybe of a different sort of outlook, so to speak. It's like when you're complaining about like stuff's not coming in, and then all this stuff's going to show up, and people are going to be like, well, "What am I going to do with all this product?" Like it's just, it kind of never ends, and it kind
Yeah,
of like,
but in that sense, it's the complainers just shift their complaint kind of
yeah, yeah, yeah,
focus. You know what I mean? Like it's always complainers going to complain, and you know,
yeah,
and especially in a like we kind of, you know, and I was talking about it on my previous feed stream, but you know, like
you got
the
a baby.
reason I did the reason people are complaining is because you're putting it out there to be discussed. And if you don't expect someone to be kind of like, I don't like this, or I prefer something like this, it's, you know, it's just not going to happen. You know, you can't, yeah, I feel like, you know, it did get, well, it didn't get heated as such. I just didn't, I just, I was not going to take I'm concerned that like, it was almost like talk of death of the line already.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, seriously, we've just had like, how many reveals on product that
Well,
we're not going to see for the next 6 months? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
and I mean, I understand it because I understand that, you know, we're not getting it as fast as we'd like. But I guess in a weird way, a couple years, you know, go back a couple years, right? Go back to before the first time they did that Hasbro fan. I can't remember what the first one was called, but when Comic Con was canceled and all the brands started doing the like at home um, brand events, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of the start of these sort of weekly or monthly or quarterly reveals. Before that, the figures just kind of showed up.
Yeah.
You kind of went like, "Oh, this is new." So now it's like,
Or they'd use like Toy Fair or something like that to do it.
yeah.
You know, yeah, yeah.
So you had, you know, New York Toy Fair, and then you had San Diego Comic Con, and you
Yeah.
get some pictures from those, and that was essentially it, right? Like you wouldn't, and um,
Well,
and
they
it's
do those things. They do those like online reveals and like a, you know, they'd get like an exclusive with IO9 or
mm,
I always forget the other one. There's another one they always use, Hasbro, or they used to before they did it themselves. And then, yeah, they'd break the news. It'd be like, you know, but it would be like an article and with a
yeah,
couple of images in it.
yeah.
And yeah, now the thing is, I think we're getting to that point where we're getting a little spoiled. I do think we're getting
Yeah,
spoiled, and I think we get to that point where it's like, no, I want this though. I don't want these six figures. I want this particular, you know. And it's getting to that point,
yeah.
and I'm exaggerating, and I don't mean to kind of pick on anybody, but you know, it does feel like that sometimes. I think personally, I approach it like, oh, we've got reveals. Really excited to see what they are. Oh, that's cool.
Mhm.
Oh, wicked. Oh, that's neat. You know, it's a different outlook completely to what I see majoritively from everyone else.
Yes. Yeah, and I sort of naturally sort of am very similar in that way, and I think that's probably what sort of drew me to your content. Actually, if I have to say, like
Mhm.
the fact that sort of I saw so much complaining, and then I'd see your videos, and you'd be like, "How great is this?" And I'd be like, "Exactly." I'm like, "There's more stuff," and other people are like, "Oh, more stuff," and I was like, "Why is that a complaint?" Anyway,
Yeah, sorry. I'll stop talking now.
Thomas, question. What, not related to the reveals today, but why is the Retro Baroness doesn't have the oval glasses like it shows in the card art? I don't
Costing.
know. My
Costing.
short answer, I don't know, but I think it's cheaper to sort of do it the way that they did it.
It was costed out, basically. They did like Lady J's. They changed all the Lady J stuff. They changed all of Gung Ho stuff, and they did a few more deco kits on Destro. So it was effectively just cheaper not to for that particular thing. You're talking like budget constraints for all of these decisions, mate. Trust me.
Yeah. Interesting. He used bleach in his laundry this time. Or this is like a fresh new gi. This is like his fresh new kit. Maybe this is like he's got to do a demo, like some sort of tournament. So he's got like nice, clean, fresh.
He's
The other
doing
one,
this. He's doing a martial arts expo with Steven
yeah,
Seagal.
exactly. He's got like a county fair where they ask him to do like a little a demo or something. Dean says this is the one I wanted from the get go, but I'm keeping my pre-orders for the prequel. Yeah, I like both of them. I mean I'm kind of torn. I'm not sold on the retro line because I open everything. I might when they do, not if, but when they do a Snake Eyes retro, that'll probably be the only one that I keep on the card if I'm being honest. Just to have one on the card because that's just kind of Snake Eyes to me just kind of embodies the brand. But if I see this at Walmart, I'm not gonna lie. I'm
Don't know what you're talking about, mate. Snake Eyes embodies the brand. What are you talking about? Anyway.
Larry says, hate to head out, but 5 a.m. comes early. Absolutely, man. I appreciate you sort of hanging in there. You're on the East Coast, so it is getting late. I understand. And we will we'll talk to you again soon, buddy. Kevin says, hope my wife's not home when a gigantic box of toys shows up. Yeah, that's true for all of us, I think. Maybe not all of us. I think, you're lucky in that sort of Kate is into G.I. Joe as well. Your wife is into G.I. Joe and you do this, a lot more than most of us, so that you can almost justify it. Tristan, it's like a mini Christmas when all my pre-orders show up. That's how I look at it. I sort of made this argument the other day that like if I prepay for things, if I can afford them at the time that they're released, I buy them and I pay for them. And then when they show up, it's guilt-free. It's like Christmas, and I can just pull the bubble wrap out and yank the figure out of the package and like shout, like, I got it. David says, the way Emily was talking in the Hasbro live stream about June, do you guys think we will get multiple live streams? We have in previous Junes. It's typically we kind of get a big event as well as like weekly updates or reveals or whatever.
It depends, doesn't it? Like if they do like a HasLab, then I think we're going to get like multiple kind of things like that. But the thing is, this is what made me laugh, right? So the first time they did Yojo June was like 2019, 2020, was it? Well, anyway, the first time they did it,
yeah.
It was kind of like, yeah, we're going to have like G.I. Joe related posts every day for a month, right? And because the posts were like, it was like a clip from the cartoon and like a little pun or something, people were like, oh, we were expecting a reveal every day for 30 days. I mean, are you seriously, has the expectation grown to that degree? Anyway, so the first time it happened, it was like a cute thing. No one really noticed it. It was just like Yojo June, yada, 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 lols all over the place. And like I said, the next year they did a live event. They revealed like 8 figures. And people were like, really? Only 8 figures for Yojo June? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't understand. The expectations are so weird. Like, yeah.
More. I hate all of it. More. I hate all of it. More. Like it's this weird. It's so weird, and it drives me crazy. I remember that Yojo June. Yeah, they were doing a post every day, and it was varied too. Though it was Instagram, or it was Facebook, or it was
Twitter.
But some of them it was like we put another 10 episodes on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that was like the first. That was the first day. Wasn't it? So the YouTube channel is now got more episodes on it. Yeah, totally. Yeah,
and maybe a reveal was like Renegade Game Studios is doing this game, and people were like, not classified. Move on. Give me more. Like it's, again, people get sort of these ideas of what they think should come out or whatever, but Tiger Force Duke.
Oh yeah, brilliant. I think this came out really well, actually. I know we're only looking at a digital render, but I think the bike and the figure itself look really sexy in this deco.
I like the figure. I like the deco. I really wanted to like the bike. Here's my complaint about the bike, and Patrick mentioned this. Patrick,
it's the mouth.
The mouth to me should be on the fairing of the motorcycle, not on the gas tank area. Like it I don't know, like the color's right, the design is right, everything about it is right, but having the mouth essentially on the back of the bike. Seems like it. I saw it and I went, huh. I don't know. I mean, it just, now that being said, I wonder if it's something that can be adjusted or will be adjusted. I mean, it is a digital render, so maybe it'll look better in sort of the physical form as well. I don't know. I went and looked at all the Tiger Force vehicles, and they all tended to have the mouth sort of in the white to brown fade, and then the eye sort of right on the brake there as well. Um, so that's the only thing that doesn't land for me.
I think it's just a matter of size and shape of the front part of the motorcycle, because that it doesn't really show it clearly on the render. But if you look at the physical vehicle, there's a curvature and there's also a vent.
And an angle.
Yeah, there's like an angle, a curvature, and a vent, and that would be an absolute nightmare to actually put something on in a factory scenario. So maybe they were just finding the kind of flattest, smoothest surface to apply it, which is probably what's happened there.
And we go, I mean, and I immediately thought that, because when we got the original Tiger Force vehicles, we got a sticker sheet. So, you know, you see Tiger Force vehicles that like somebody didn't quite understand how the stickers were supposed to go on, and they're like totally in the wrong spot, and you're like,
yeah,
that's one impression of how it should go. But
the Tiger Sting is a victim of that, with the way that the mouth goes on like the front, the bonnet or the hood of the vehicle.
Yeah, a lot of people put that sticker sort of on the side, like over the wheel well, so it's not on the, but it's meant to go, like you said, on sort of the hood and then sort of wrap over.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, it's sort of an unfortunate, it's like an unfortunate circumstance of the fact that they're making these better than the vintage figures.
Tristan, tigers can have big foreheads. Tigers can be slightly derpy looking, I think, in this sense.
Yeah, I don't dislike it. I'll get one instead of 3 or 4 like I did with Breaker in the round. Like, wow. It's not like a hard pass for me. It's just like,
I can't wait to see this in Dreadnought colors, honestly.
That's what I've actually got a coil cycle in pieces that I've just not gotten around to painting in Dreadnought colors, but I'm going to do one of those as well. I would love to see either of them in Dreadnought colors, but I think the Ram, because it was they already did that sort of Dreadnought colored one. Yeah.
How good would a Dreadnought, it's Ground Assault, isn't it? Ground Assault deco on the Ram with Heart Wrencher be? Classic Heart Wrencher. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? The female character.
I don't really care, but yes, I agree. I think any excuse where they can kind of like, I hate to say it because you and I both love female G.I. Joe characters and figures, but anywhere where they can kind of like leverage a female figure by making it a deluxe or putting it with a vehicle,
making it more, totally.
Yeah, 2-packs. Just do female figures in 2-packs with figures that you're not going to get anywhere else, so that people have to buy them.
It's our female agenda. That's what it is, Adam.
David said a figure reveal for each day in June will mean we get to more Snake Eyes variations. You're absolutely right. Just 30 days, or is June 30 days or 31? I can't remember. But like 30 Snake Eyes reveals. Give the people what they want. You want to reveal every day, you get 30 versions of Snake Eyes.
Isn't it hilarious? They wouldn't be able to cover all of the versions of Snake Eyes in that month. That's crazy, isn't it?
It would require 2+ years of Yojo June reveals every day.
It really would. But yeah, I'm down for this. And I also will say that I think the colors are a bit muted based on I think you're going to see a lot lighter on Duke, especially. I think that like the green is going to be dark, but it's you can see it a lot clearer, and the orange or kind of tanny orange on his pants is a little bit brighter too. So
I also think that the Ram will be really vibrant. Like if it's in line with how they did the Tiger Force stuff before, that yellow would just really, really pop. And I think the the little Gatling gun sort of sidecar thing, I think looks weird in that red, but I think when
Perfect,
when
man.
physical, I think it'll look really, really good.
I think it looks perfect. I don't know. I think everyone else is wrong.
Well, I think no, I just think that that color in digital looks odd, but like thinking of Tiger Force vehicles, like the actual physical ones from the vintage line, that red plastic was perfect. Like it was
Yeah,
just a
pops in
great,
it.
great color combo.
Yeah.
Tyler asked, would these reveals be happening every 2 months if the pandemic hadn't happened, or is this Hasbro playing catch up? I
I
think
think
they would.
I think the reveals would be the same. It's the getting it in hand that's messing everything up.
Yes.
Like we right now we should be very content at seeing these things because we've got Storm Shadow and Spirit and Stalker and yada
Mhm.
yada yada. Do you know? Well, not Stalker, but you know what I mean. We should have all those. Was it 7 or 8 figures? Cobra Officer, Crop Master, all of them. Bat,
Spirit.
Viper,
Yeah.
Pythons,
The three
Outback.
and it goes on and on and on. Like we always forget about stuff. We're like, oh yeah, that's coming too.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the, and we get it in hand and we forget how long we've waited for it is the other thing.
Yeah. That's a good
Tristan,
shout, Tristan. Good shout.
yeah, Python Patrol Coil. I hope so. I hope so for sure. And I mean, we've now had Coil, Ram. I mean, it makes sense that that's sort of next up, and the tooling's already done. It's cost effective. I think people will be more into a Python Patrol Coil than they were into the first Coil.
Definitely with that
People will
vehicle.
be like, a repaint, yes.
That vehicle deco is beautiful. That kind of black with red. Oh, so sexy.
Facebook user who will remain nameless. Hey, it's just coming on. Whoa, Adam, a double header. I would love to say welcome to you, but I don't know who you are. So
I think it's pronounced Sabe Kook User. I think that's the actual proper pronunciation of the name.
that's that's we have a lot of different we've got a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and things in the group, so it's always great to have that. Shouldn't it be better if Hasbro makes pre-orders 2 months instead of 11-month wait period? Well, yes, but I think I think what sort of Chris is sort of alluding to, and what I agree, I think they intended for that, but I think the logistics of that are such that I think it's one of those weird situations where they would, they announced Stalker in January, the digital render, and then in February, the physical reveal. And I think it was meant to come out sort of March, April. It may come out in May. And if it does, that's only a few months, really.
The time is all, yeah. It's like what they were kind of like. You could tell that Hasbro and most companies were doing this thing like they were kind of training us or trying to get us into this headspace or this kind of like habit of it being like pre-order, figures in hand, figures in hand. But then obviously with that, right, with that kind of 1 2 1 2, it then gets staggered. So when you get like in between your receiving of a couple of different sets of figures, to be another reveal pre-order, and then it was getting into that kind of habit of going, right, I'll pre-order and then I'll get these figures in hand, these ones from a couple back, and then we'll pre-order again and then we'll get another load of figures in hand. And that's what they were planning to do. But then the funniest thing happened. Basically, the world went imploded on itself, did a poop on itself, and this is where we are right now.
And it's not, and it's not just them. It's different. It's different for every brand because of sort of what their logistics look like, or sort of where in the timeline they were, in terms of production timeline. But there's other lines that only release figures sort of once a year, and so it feels like there's less impact there. Or something like Marvel Legends that releases a wave every month,
every
so
second. It's in the multiverse of madness, literally. The Marvel Legends line.
I mean, some months it's multiple waves, right? And people go, well, they can get their figures out, and I think it's the optics rather than the reality, because I think what's actually happening is they're getting delayed as well, but because they release so much stuff, it doesn't appear that it's as bad.
There's always stuff on shelves. That's the thing. There's always like a visual, like you say. There's always a visual of it, being in existence, and that has a huge effect mentally. And you could even do the, I suppose, the actual scientific research on it and math, but I still think a lot of that is completely irrelevant when you take into consideration the tricks of the what you're seeing, and also marketing are definitely putting in your face all the time and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's difficult. It's not simple, definitely.
I think there are aspects too, though. I mean, I've heard people sort of bring up licensing agreements and things like that. And I do think, if you have a movie coming out, they may sort of jump the queue, so to speak, to sort of get, a Multiverse of Madness figure on the shelf before the movie comes out. Because if you don't, it's dead in the water.
Yeah.
Or Thor, Love and Thunder, which got announced like this week, and hopefully they show
Figures
up
were out immediately, weren't they? Like the reveals were out the next second.
So I think it's optics more than it is sort of the reality. But anyway, I mean, we're getting great figures, and I'm not complaining.
Let's talk Blue Ninjas.
Let's talk Blue Ninjas, and I meant to mention this sort of right off the jump too, but like, think about how much cool stuff we've already gotten, and sort of be thankful that we have that. I mean,
that literally the figures we're waiting on that we should have had in hand, I'm going to have a new shelf. I'm going to have a new whole section done because I can't fit them in anymore. And like, I just thought to myself, man, if I hadn't got that stuff in, yeah, exactly. I'd have been building myself another house, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, Blue Ninjas, awesome.
So Blue Ninjas, what do you think? Dean, do you mean these ones, or do you think that we'll get the Blue Ninja colored to the Storm Shadow? I think we'll get a Blue Ninja colored to that Storm Shadow because I love repaints and I can't wait for more repaints. As these Blue Ninjas are repaints, I think these are fantastic versions. I love that it's a 2-pack. I'm sort of hoping that they do this as a 2-pack sort of troop builder, like they've kind of done with some of the Pulse troop builders, where it's like a lower cost price point. I'm not 100% sure they'll go that route with the Viper 3-pack as the precedence.
They won't.
But these look great. I'm definitely in for these. The Oni mask and the Kitsune mask are
next level. Next level. What a great addition.
They're on a new level for sure. Yeah.
I'm on a new level. So like when I break these down, like the Red Ninja repaints, really cool. It's fun. It's simple for them to do, and it's literally straight up and down, bosh, done. But then adding that Oni mask, the demon one, is just such a great touch, and it's red. And it's like, and I love the fact that the masks bear no relation to the deco, really, if that makes sense. I like that they're kind of like, you got a red mask on a Blue Ninja, you got a white Kitsune mask on a Blue Ninja. I think that's really dope. Such a great little, I don't know, it's just genius in my opinion. And also the fact we're getting that Akiko body again, sensational. New feet, so she's got ninja booties instead of heels, and also the new head she comes with as well as wicked. Like I love that the fact they're doing like kind of a generic female ninja head is great, because that means we've got more options to do generic ninja customs and stuff like that. It's great.
And I heard a lot of people kind of looking at this and going, you could do a Jinx with this in sort of, if you're customizing, for sure.
Big time.
I sort of, my brain went in a different direction and went, oh, Hasbro could just do this with Jinx, so I don't have to.
I'm sure Jinx is on the list.
It's got to be. Somebody in your video made a good point that with Slaughter coming out, is he the first of sort of the big sort of movie figures? And then we've got Falcon sort of rumored, and
it's not rumors. It's a legit listing, mate. You can go for it. You can say it.
But I mean, until you sort of see it physically, right? You don't like
You can
when you see
say it.
it happen, then people are like, well, when? When do I get it in hand?
When can I pre-order it?
I don't know. In 2024, I don't know. Christian said this a while ago, but we didn't get there. Time for bed. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Christian. Thank you guys for
I can only
joining.
stay on for a few minutes, Adam. So
Yeah. Should legit change my name on Facebook to Facebook user before the next live chat.
definitely, Tristan. Definitely. And I believe it's pronounced Faseo Book Uzer. Anyway.
Not related to the other one. It's just a very common name.
Hi, Nelson.
Nelson has figured out StreamYard. We can now attach his name and his face to his comments. Tristan, not super familiar with the Blue Ninjas. Look like a cool set though. The vintage figures has had Blue Ninjas. The comic book has had Blue Ninjas. So there is a precedence. There is a history for Blue Ninjas in GI Joe, and they look cool. So why not? Going forward, the coast here in BC has started building the new port up by Bella Coola, which aims to be one of the largest ports in Canada. So a few years down the road, Canada might start getting stuff sooner as it will land right on our doorstep. Well, I think a lot of stuff actually lands in the port of Vancouver roughly at the same time as it lands in LA. It just maybe doesn't get distributed as quickly, just because Canadian logistics do not work like US logistics. That's my 2 cents on that. But Dean said not masks. He said full heads. Yes, they're separate heads.
They are separate. I know they're actually full heads. I was referring to them as Oni and Kitsune masks because of semantics. Call it semantics, Dean. I'm fully aware they're actually full heads.
David said, give us Tunnel Rat. Well, as some of you may or may not know, one of my favorite figures is in fact a movie character. So if we get this guy, and then we get Jinx, and we get Falcon, and we get Tunnel Rat, Chuckles is a shoe-in at that point.
With a missile, with one single missile.
Yeah, no launcher, no way to like attach it. He just has to carry it. I always loved it, like, because I had that figure first before I'd seen the movie, and so I had no connection between like him not being an important character, that figure just being awesome to me.
I love that he gets on. I love how he gets on the tomahawk in the movie because they're getting rid of the squid stuff that's attached to the thing, and they fly off, and he's on top in between the propellers, like shooting things with it. I'm like, what am I watching right now? What is he doing? Chuckles is hilarious in that movie.
I mean, if he's a guy that throws missiles, then why wouldn't he be on top of a helicopter with the propellers going?
Exactly.
I think it's safe to say that this reveal was probably the most newsworthy of
yeah.
And is it okay? Thank you. I've gone a little over an hour, so that was just checking in. I think this was the most unexpected. I knew that this figure was coming for months, thanks to you, Chris. So I can say we've known that this was coming for a long time.
Oh, mate, I've sat on this for over a year. I think it's crazy. Yeah, but this was a exciting reveal. I don't know. It was just there's not much more to say really, other than just blown away, just absolutely blown away.
And it's perfect. I mean, like what this is sort of the GI Joe version of Sergeant Slaughter that everybody knows and loves. He's got the whistle. He's got the hat. He's coming with the baton, even though it's not pictured.
He's huge. He's got fists.
He's huge. He's coming with the fists, so he's presumably multiple hands.
Yeah.
It's going to be a deluxe figure. He's going to have something in a box that sort of comes with him that nobody knows what it is.
I
Even-
was, during the promo, Sarge just had that like GI Joe wrestling belt over his shoulder.
Mhm.
I wonder if it's something like that, like it's
I
like a
hope it's
full on
something.
belt.
I think I mean I think that makes perfect sense. I think everybody's hoping that he comes with his itty bitty ditty bag. Um, what that could look like. How great would it be if they did a little duffel bag that was made in sort of a flexible rubber, so that you could
Yeah,
open it and like put stuff in it,
that'd be
so that
wicked.
around like that would be so
Yeah,
good.
like those kind of pinch little purses that would flex open. So it would be like like the shape of the bag, and then you just flex it, and it would where the opening would be would fold open. That'd be wicked.
And Nelson, yeah, Sarge is supposed to come with something extra. They kind of mentioned about it. Yeah, they did mention it. They didn't mention what it was or like what we were gonna get. I mean, I can't wait. I'm not even a big Sergeant Slaughter fan, but I just love. Somebody said that in your feed, and you were like, "That doesn't make sense."
I
Like,
know. I
how is
was
that?
literally like, "How very dare you get out?"
I mean, everybody has different preferences. I always thought he was kind of shoehorned in there for marketing, and so I was just like, even as a kid, I was like, "But he's a
Too
wrestler."
cynical, Adam. Too cynical.
I know. I'm just so jaded, and I just. Kristen said, I legit got slightly emotional when Sarge came on the live stream. I think a lot of people did.
I got goosebumps like all over me while he was talking. It was weird.
In a weird way, like I said, like I'm not a massive Sergeant Slaughter fan. I didn't necessarily need this figure to be in the classified line,
Get
but
out.
I'm really happy that he is because I know what he means to so many people. I know how important this character and he as a person is.
Hmm.
Um, you know, people may or may not know that your wife did Sergeant Slaughter cosplay and met Sergeant Slaughter in her cosplay
Yeah, it was
of
amazing. Got a picture of it. It's hilarious.
like the most meta thing that could have happened.
I make her
James
dress up like it all the time. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
James says Triple T. I don't think it'll be the Triple T. I don't think we'll ever see the Triple T in the classified line. I do think now that we have him in the classified line, there's going to be a lot of people start 3D printing a Triple T. So if you need one, I'm sure you could probably find one sooner rather than later.
I think the existence of a Sergeant Slaughter opens the door very obviously to Slaughter's Marauders because
Oh, I hope so.
you've already got Barbs, you've got Barbecue in there, you've got Spirit in there, and then obviously if you're talking kind of pre-paints, then Footloose, Mutton Junkyard, Low Light, Falcon. He was like added later, wasn't he? Yeah, there's that because you've got Falcon coming too. So I think it's gonna happen. Just putting it out there.
I hope it's going to happen. I've said that before. Of the sub team decos, I think that's one of the more appealing decos for
I
sure.
love it.
The blues and greens and browns. Like I just think it looks really cool. Or at least I did as a kid. It's pretty ham-handed when you look at it now. It's just kind of bars.
It's like a bootleg graffiti artist did it. Something, yeah.
Like all of you stand against this wall, and we'll just paint.
Yeah, we'll just. I feel like that's part of its appeal, though. Is that it's not like it's kind of off, and it's not like the lines are weird, but it's not wavy. It's not purposely wavy, and it's not angular. It's this weird thing in between, isn't it? Where it's like it's just really interesting.
It doesn't seem as though it was like thought out in a way. Like it very much seemed like they kind of like, somebody had 4 paintbrushes and they just sort of grabbed them all in a fist and just kind of painted a figure and was like, what about this? And somebody was like, absolutely, let's do it. and it works. Like it just works.
Agreed.
Oh, this out. Patty late to the party, but Triple T HasLab. I mean, who knows? Maybe.
Well, the fact he's in classified now. I feel like a lot of these doors open.
Yeah,
that weren't open before, and I think the Triple T as a HasLab might be stretching it. Maybe after another HasLab has happened, a more iconic one. I know what's more iconic than the Sarge, but not many people are going to know about the Triple T other than the hardcore Joe fans, really, are they?
Yeah, and that would be my sort of argument against the Triple T in the line. Like I've said before, and I honestly believe that if we get a HasLab, we're going to see a Vamp or a His Tank. Like I just think that those are the two most iconic. They're kind of the right size. They're big enough without being too big. You can
Or Striker.
or the Ostriker as well. Yeah, absolutely. I think a vehicle of that size, of that nature,
answers all your questions.
I lean probably more towards the Vamp because you could get clutch. So there's sort of already like a built-in addition. And the
How dare you?
driver.
What's wrong with Crankcase?
Well,
is he not? It's funny. I feel like he gets like a funny.
He's so neglected.
Yeah.
He's so neglected. He's
literally. He has figures though. That's the thing.
Child. Yeah, Joe.
Literally. But he has got like a decent amount of figures, which is also quite interesting. But there are times when, like I kind of feel like he's been done a little bit dirty. I'd like to see Crank, because I mean that original vintage figure is so full of personality. Yeah. And I feel like the modern 4-inch figures never really grasp that.
I think that retro one that they did is pretty good. I mean, I think they put a lot of love into that. They tried. I mean, I don't know that figure got as much love as they maybe wanted to, but you also, I mean,
it was improvement on the 25th, definitely though.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I also kind of look too. So much for the reveals. I also sort of look at what came in that Walmart retro line, and the minute they came out with that roadblock that basically had a for lack of a better word, a shrunken headed version of the classified one, like a light bulb went off where I went, okay, so anything in this line could be scaled up.
Yeah.
So, the His Tank and the Ostriker, to me, it's sort of like, well, they've clearly got, the 3D sculpts of these. So, I mean, we got the 4-inch crankcase. We could get the 6-inch crankcase.
I had a conversation with Pat and Adam and a few other guys about this, and we were kind of mulling over the thought process of, do you think the Fang was developed for the classified line? Because it's a little bit like, it's slightly updated, it's slightly different looking, it's a little bit stockier. Yeah. So you get the feeling that, at that scale, it would make a bit more sense to kind of like, shorten the tail and bring it in a little bit. And then the one they ended up going with for the 4-inch was exactly, the same. They just did it for 4-inch. Mm-hmm. And we were wondering if maybe they had plans to maybe do it at classified scale, and it never really transpired.
It makes sense. It really makes sense. I mean, it because they're they sort of work with box constraints and sort of shelf spacing and stuff like that. So to kind of make it a little stubbier, maybe to fit it into an existing box size, that was to me sort of the reasoning, because the His Tank and the Ostriker seemed virtually identical to the vintage ones, but that one was modified. So why modify it if you weren't going to use it again? It's like the molds, right? Like if you can reuse something that you've done, whether it's a sculpt or a mold or what have you, it's just cost effective and economical.
Yeah.
This is a good.
We've had this many times already as well. Remember the 25th box sets with the G.I. Joe theme that would play on those little G.I. Joe logos and stuff.
In this box. And it says, it's like one of his classic lines, or maybe it's like,
Eddie's disease.
I mean, you can get it in a birthday card. Can't we get it in a classic package? Like, it can't cost that much.
We've got the guy there already. Just say a few things, Sarge.
He was clearly in studio to record something. I mean,
they could make a Sonic Fighters backpack for him, couldn't they? Let's party. Blitz him. Attack.
Can you imagine like with the technology as it exists now, a Sonic Fighters wave? Like you could have like full on, and it could be, you could have it so that you could like update the things in it, right? You could like plug it in to USB and like download more phrases.
That'd be cool. Or you could just record your own voice on it. That'd be wicked, wouldn't it?
Or someone else's.
Yeah.
It would be like a talk boy from Home Alone. My
Yeah.
kids were home early. That's the one line that I always loved in that commercial.
Yes.
Facebook user says, "Oof, a long evening for Mr. Full Force."
Thank you, Faseo Book Uzer. Much appreciated.
Tristan, I want the Renegades now that we are getting Sarge. Yes, and I mean, I think it opens the door to that for sure. Vamp or his tank will be agreeable for the Triple T. Triple T, bring me the Warthog.
Why are we not talking about the fact that this Sarge is, at least the head sculpt's going to get reused for the Warthog version? Because that is my favorite Sarge figure, by the way. What a beautiful design.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful design, like the kind of more tactical kind of like vest, the tan pants, that just, I love it. And the Warthog is an absolute, it's creme de la creme of G.I. Joe vehicle design.
Yeah, I mean the Marauders versions of there's a couple of them, right, of the vehicles that they did that armadillo, the version of the armadillo too.
The Slaughter's Marauders vehicles. What is it? It's too late now. I'm can't think straight.
Well,
Equalizer and the lost all of them. I'm just going to check 3D Joe's while you keep talking.
But yeah, I mean, Slaughter in the line, I do think opens the door for a whole bunch more characters, a whole bunch more decos, a whole bunch more stuff. And I'm all for it. I'm going in the wrong direction. Oh, now I realize that I got to find. I'm gonna pull this down for a second while I find it. Chat amongst yourselves.
Armadillo, Equalizer, Lynx.
Yeah, all fantastic. All stuff that I'd love to see. Will we see it? Probably not. But I mean, we can dream. All right, here we go. Now back. So that's all the digital renders. I just sort of on the topic of digital renders very quickly. I'm glad that we're getting them. Sort of, if we're not getting figures in hand, I'm happy to get news. I guess that's sort of my silver lining brain, right? Like, if I can't get figures, at least sort of getting an idea of what's coming is better than nothing. Because I think the alternative to like, okay, we can't get figures out, so we'll just hold off on even announcing things would be worse. Like, I like that they've sort of, I think this is Hasbro adapting to the fact that they can't get what people really want, which is the figures in hand, and sort of going, okay, what do we have long term that sort of we can sort of allude to a little bit earlier.
I'll tell you another thing while I'm holding this comb, which was to comb my beard because I had a mask on all day and it gave me like a little bald patch there. The one thing I will say is that I feel like it gets ahead of leaks. Have you noticed that?
Yep.
We haven't had a lot of leaks apart from like the Full Force podcast, but like, you know what I mean? We haven't had a lot of
apart from what we know about, because you know about it as you know, patrons of your Patreon. But
no, I'm kidding. Yeah, exactly. But even then, we're not getting that kind of thing where it's like, you know, a ton of like information is getting kind of poured out there because they're kind of staying ahead of it by going, hey, we're going to just reveal Kamakura. Hey, we're just going to reveal the Cobra Ninja 2-pack. And it's like, it's taken me by surprise because I'm kind of sitting there going like, they're not going to, that's like months away. And then, right. Yeah, news burst. Here we go. Yeah.
And Patty makes a good point too. The turnaround from digital to in hand has been quick, not just for Dusty Zarana and CG, but for all of them. I mean, we got Stalker and that wave in January, and then in February we got the physical reveal. So you know, if it's sort of 4 to 6 weeks, you know, in between, and then it's, you know, they can't really predict how long the physical is. But
I have to say, from a personal point of view as well, I'm not like, oh, I need to know everything now. Like I'm not kind of, well, I mean, I do, but I mean, like in the real world, I don't like. I'm not sitting there going, "Oh, they better reveal all those things like this, like in the next 3 weeks." I'm just not used to all of this stuff. I think that's what it is. I've just been like almost like conditioned to just have to wait for it for ages, and then all of a sudden, it's like as soon as this classified line kicked off in 2020,
Yeah,
it
January or Toy Fair was January or early February,
Febs.
like first week or second week.
I was there, mate. I was there.
Yeah.
I was like, in the trenches when they revealed that stuff. And
now, did you know that was going to be revealed, or was that just a pleasant surprise because you happened to be there?
I can't remember. No, I knew it was happening. I knew it was happening. It was before. It was before my the.
It was for months, and then I think it was kind of January. They're like, "Yep, we're doing it," and then February was sort of the reveal.
So it was the Snake Eyes reveal first, wasn't it?
Right.
That got leaked. I remember that getting leaked, and then so and I actually, to be honest, I went to that preview event with images of the figures in my phone.
Oh, okay.
So I was like going, I know what's going to happen, but I'm really excited. And then obviously to be there when they had actual figures on. Why am I holding my actual figures on the shelf of this like incredible, like it was really cool. At the preview event, I really wish we'd been able to keep going. But obviously the pandemic kind of said no.
Well, you've been to all of them that they've had since.
Yeah.
None.
Amazing.
A couple quick comments.
This is a regular comb, by the way. It's not just a bit. It's not a big. I just did it because.
And it's not a full force branded comb.
No, I need to get one of them, don't I?
Playing cards, matchbooks, beard combs.
I have stickers somewhere as well.
Facebook user said, "Do we have someone watching the trash bin at China Hasbro factory?"
I'm
in
it,
I think
mate.
I think there probably was, but they're probably on lockdown now, so it's kind of irrelevant at this point because I don't know. I know a lot of the factories got closed and there wasn't anything going on for a while. So I think some of them just got reopened, and then there's, like I said, there's Chinese New Year, and then things get shut down, and then things can't leave the factory, and they kind of slow production when the warehouse gets full, and they can't sort of move anything, and it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing, man.
Moving on to physical reveals. Hopefully these are in order too. I think they are. If sort of it works out.
I love that figure. I love that figure so much.
And as much as the pre-decos, as much as we want the standard release, you and I have talked about this. This is a masterstroke in marketing and sales. To release a figure that everybody wants in a pre-deco, you might pass on this one. You're definitely going to get the standard. You might pass on this one, but a lot of people won't. I didn't. I'm getting this one, and I will get the standard release as well. Patty and I are in another chat for another group entirely, but he was mentioning that for him, like, this was the bazooka that he had as a kid, was the Tiger Force one. So for him, like, this bazooka is his bazooka.
Same.
Probably a lot of people like that, right? Like,
same.
And the loadout is fantastic.
My first roadblock was, well, actually it was a version 2, I think, but my first roadblock of that version 1 style was the Tiger Force one.
Yeah.
First Tripwire was Tiger Force. First Sneak Peek was Tiger Force. First Psych Out was Tiger Force. Don't think I got the regular Psych Out, actually. So there's he's a European exclusive, by the way.
I was going to say, like, I didn't have that one. I definitely didn't have that one.
Oh, that is a gorgeous figure as well. You'd love that. It's
I've seen it. I love it. Yeah, it's great. And so, as a kid, the Psych Out figure was like so weird with his radar and his wrists and like the
amazing
and like all the.
Those were the kind of figures that I really loved because of all of the different like things they came with and all the cool stuff they had, and that's why I like Lightfoot so much, honestly.
That's why I like Tracker and DJ. People like those are kind of
DJ.
Not everybody dislikes them, but they're fairly maligned figures
Yeah.
among sort
D-
of in general, I guess.
DJ was great because that was one of the first times I'd seen, like a single figure release that was linked to a sub team, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yep.
So it was like one of those things where it's like you haven't had Battle Force 2000
Hmm.
yet for a while, and then there's a DJ, and it's a Battle Force 2000 figure, and it's just like, oh right, cool. He goes in with this like team, and it was cool because I saw that in the States on pegs,
Hmm.
and it had the different background, digital camo, digital explosion, the
Hmm.
Battle Force one, and the logo, and I'm like, this is so cool. And obviously he's a DJ as well, which was dope.
Which is such
Um,
a weird, like, GI Joe.
Random as
Like,
hell.
oh, he's a DJ, and he comes with this like magenta curved laser gun and this backpack that curves and kind of comes up over his head, and it's just like,
He's got the
what
weirdest boots
going
ever.
on?
His legs are triangles. His
Like
feet are
a
triangles.
Michelin Man. Like it's like it's like so weird. Like looking back at so many of these figures that like were our prized possessions as children, we're just like, what?
None of it
Even
makes sense.
even my favorite version of Snake Eyes and yours, version 4, those kind of neon coral pink accessories and the giant electric blue backpack grappling hook,
Oh,
like all of it was is in some way like so terrible that it's perfect.
yeah.
Like it's so over the top and so different than anything that Snake Eyes had been before that it's like it has this sort of endearing quality about it.
I still don't
um
know why I'm so attached to it. Like, I think just at the time there was the Hall of Fame version of it as well,
yeah.
and the figure I was just absolutely besotted with it because it was so different, but it's still somehow 100% identifiable as Snake Eyes in a
Mhm.
weird way, even though there was nothing about it that was really Snake Eyes. Do you know what I mean? Or at least from version 2.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because if you just change the color to all black, you have that Commando Snake Eyes, which is instantly recognizable as Snake Eyes. And if you change that color to the version 4 deco, you'd be like, oh, it's just a repaint. But you'd be like, exactly, it's just a repaint. Like they modernized it for the Deke cartoon, and in the comic book he got an update as well. But I mean, yeah, so fantastic.
Mm.
Patty, I have an irrational love for Crystal Ball. Terrible character, but captivating figure.
Love Crystal
Crystal
Ball.
Ball, Raptor, um,
Crocmaster.
Crocmaster. Like so many of them are just so absurd that it just makes sense. And that's again when people sort of like
Were they
criticize,
all the
like, oh
same year?
no, I don't think so. I think they were spread over a few years.
Big Boa,
There's
Crocmaster,
definitely
Crystal Ball, and Raptor were all
89.
1987.
Oh, 87.
Ev-
87
Every single one of them was the same year, mate.
was a
Isn't that
good year.
hilarious?
That
Big
was a very
Boa,
good year at Hasbro.
um, yeah, Crocmaster, Crystal Ball, Raptor, yeah, and Psychout as well. If you want to add Psychout in there as a crazy character,
Why not?
and Crazy Legs as well, who was crazy by name.
And his legs were crazy because you couldn't get them. You couldn't get them to come in.
Clothes, yeah, because of the straps, yeah. It's funny how it's
Get
funny you
named
mention
before
that.
or after the harness.
You instantly say that, and then you have almost like a physical memory,
You can,
feeling, and everything.
but like when you try to push the legs together, yeah, absolutely. It's so weird, right?
That's so funny.
Speaking of Halo jumpers, I really hope we get Ripcord. But anyway, um, back to yeah, that's the Fruity Pebbles. That's what it looks like in China. Bonkers. So
I need to get like an actual like what's going on at this moment in time image, don't I?
like a live like a
Yeah,
live feed,
yeah,
it would look exactly the same.
yeah.
They're not going anywhere. That's the point. What else we got here? We'll try to hit a couple of these comments and then move on to the
Get
next one.
Facebook user, because you're not the only one
Yeah, a
that
couple.
notices that.
Dean, I love that they changed the torso because he has no web gear, etc. It makes the figure look great. And then, yeah, Facebook user said, "Am I the only one that is noticing?" No, you're not. That's clearly.
Everyone noticed it, mate, months ago when they did the digital reveal.
I think it looks great, and I hope that sort of going forward we see more of this, like more sort of development of the engineering. Another interesting thing that they did in the engineering here is the sleeves aren't attached to the bicep or to the shoulder. They're kind of floating, which I'm really intrigued to sort of see and take apart and put back together and kind of monkey around with. But we'll see. Oh, I'm getting messages. Who's messaging? Trying to keep that off the screen, but I'm not clever enough to do that yet. But we'll get there. Patty, you're in that chat. Tell those guys to be quiet. Marvin said, now the worst part for all these great figures is the waiting game. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's tough. I mean, we've sort of chatted about that and sort of mentioned it. Crazy Legs, man, his classified is an instant buy. Yeah, I mean, aren't they all? Like, isn't that the point?
Armadillo.
It's like a Cobra. It's just bonkers assortment of characters from the military to be fighting. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Raptor was an accountant. Like Pat, not Picard Stewart, made the very great joke of like they should do a deluxe Raptor and he should come with like a briefcase, or it was Patty Lennon.
Patty,
yeah.
yeah.
He should come with a briefcase full of like official documents that are to be, he should come with like a red marker pen, and he should come with a little desktop calculator where the paper would roll through,
Rolodexes. We think it'd be funny if you did him like Harvey Birdman.
Yeah,
like the suit, but with also the wings and the hat on. It'd be
like
hilarious.
pre Raptor.
Oh.
Like pre Cobra Raptor, like
before they signed him up. Yeah,
man, I gotta get out of this. I gotta do something different with my life. I got so much more to offer.
Amazing. Oh, Recondo.
Now, do you think, last thing about Raptor, do you think that when Cobra Commander got word of that he became the official Cobra accountant? Or do they have an accountant? Because clearly they're terrible with money.
I think he's used as an accountant to hide all of the nefarious dealings that are going on at extensive enterprises at Mars, all and that stuff.
Always broke, and that's the motivation for all the schemes, right? They always need money.
Yeah.
Like
he just tells them how broke they are. He just tells them how broke they are every week.
It's like, I don't want to be the one to point this out, but we're in the red again. He's like, well, come up with a scheme. Let's get a band together and have a #1 hit. We've got a week.
I'm sure we can squeeze mind control gum in here somewhere.
Recondo, mullet and all. Recondo is another one of these characters that I don't really have a passion for Recondo. I don't know what it is. The figure looks great. I love the short sleeves. Offers more opportunity. That's a new piece. I love the bare arms, the bare hands. There's so much about this figure that I love, which is why I ordered it, despite the fact that I don't love Recondo. But yeah, great figure, great sculpts. Love the
machete. Look at that machete.
Yeah. So much good stuff going on here. I'm the same as you, Patty. This was an insta skip until it's revealed today. I was the same way. I saw the digital render and I was like, But I've said this for every digital render. I've not been sold on any of the digital renders. It's always the physical. As soon as it's physical, I go, yeah. And when you see the accessories, you see the loadouts that they get, and you sort of hear, you hear sort of Lenny talk about like, okay, and here's why we did this. And you go, oh, that makes so much sense. Like he does a great job. Like the marketing team does a great job of sort of, at least for me, sort of getting me on board for like, okay, it might have been a pass, but here's why, you need to buy it.
Yeah.
Like they're getting ahead of the logic that people have of like, I'll wait for the other one.
It's never a question for me. It's never even a question. It's like, where do I get it? And where
I
do I
think
get 5 of them?
I think in my head I want it to be. I want there to be a first figure that I pass on because then it makes it a little easier to maybe pass on another one. But it never happens. Oh, I'm going the wrong way again. The Python Patrol to me is where I may see sort of my first pass, only because A, they're not super easy to get for us.
Oh, that's a shame.
And so that's kind of my justification, like it's like, well, if I can never get one, I guess. I've said with most of the troop builders, I'll usually get 3 or 6, depending on how much I like them. With the Python Patrol, I'll probably get 1, and if I get 1, I'm like you. It's like if I get 1, well, maybe I'll get 2, and then if I get 2, like I'm only 1 away from the squad, right? Like at 3, the squad's built. So, um,
I'm 4. Four's
you're
a nice number for army builders, but honestly, if I get just one of them, that's fine as well.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, if I have one of the, in my head too, like my head canon for Python Patrol and Classified is that it's like an elite squad where like the best officer and the best Viper and the best bat were chosen. I don't know.
The
The bat,
least
the bat,
problematic AI bat.
like
Yeah.
in my head, the bat that's in the Python Patrol is the equivalent of I don't know how familiar people will be with Star Wars references that are somewhat obscure, but Mr. Bones in Star Wars was a clone trooper, like a clone droid trooper,
Yeah.
had been upgraded and was like this killer, like he just had like this thirst for blood. Like I just think of the Python Patrol bat as being like somewhat augmented, like his AI wasn't corrected, and so he's just like just literally a killing machine. Um, Patty's saying about Rakano, he's just so badass. I'm gonna have him bazooka and Outback as a mini squad. Yeah, they're gonna be a great little squad for sure.
Like a Tiger Force, you could say.
Yeah, like yeah, it's almost like they're a sub team. Sorry, Pat. I know that you can take it. So, Tristan says it's a special nuclear powered bat. Yeah, like maybe he's got a shield, not unlike some bats that have recently come up in the Saturday morning IDW cartoon.
Bloody love that
So good, isn't
comic. Yeah.
it? I only wish it was going longer than 4 issues and longer than just
Well,
it's
Diana
mini.
Davis is trying. She's trying to push it a bit further.
You got to get the emails addresses that we need to start petitioning, and then we'll all just blast them because and if you guys haven't read it, go to your local comic book store or buy it online, digital copy or something. I
Brilliant.
don't it's so good, and it literally is. Like if you like the little mini series that they did in the Sunbow cartoon, it's literally that in a comic book. Like the way that they're even like writing the dialogue,
Yeah.
to read it like it's in those voices, like it's so weird and it's so fun, and it's so outlandish that it's just Sunbow, like it's so good, it's so much fun.
You see, one thing I will mention about this quickly is that I love they put the logo right in the center of the hash cross marks. So it's like sits really perfectly in the square. I love that. I think that's a great touch. Simple, but really, really effective. And also the fact that it's a different skin tone as well, like a darker skin tone, to
Yeah,
kind of give a bit of diversity in the ranks as well. I think that's
I
pretty
like
dope.
with the Viper 3-pack as well, and I like that I like that they're doing that with the whole line. Like I'm I've said this on these videos a lot. Like there's aspects of sort of like woke culture that I dislike, but the idea and the philosophy behind it and the reason for it, I'm all for. So,
Totally.
the execution sometimes can come off a little
ham-fisted. I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah. Anyway, moving on. This is
Sensational.
a phenomenal figure. Zorana.
I didn't know
This
it was you. Every time.
Every time. The second hair, like the alternate hair, is mwah, that's the so you kind of get the two versions. I love that this is kind of a nod to that there was two versions of the original figure as well.
Yeah.
The weapons and how they sort of thought through the weapons, like that blade that comes out that Lenny was saying, it's like it heats up in there and then it comes out as like a red hot blade
So
to just
cool.
melt through everything. Like, oh, cool. And that they updated it to be sort of a leather jacket instead of like a ripped shirt that didn't really make sense in the original figure.
Yeah.
But if this is what they're gonna do with the dreadnoks, and by that I mean like if they keep all the dreadnoks almost identical to their originals, that's sort of where I'm okay with them doing very minimal updates. She just looks so good.
Oh,
And
outstanding.
the art is so much fun too.
Yeah, it's very Tank Girl-esque, isn't it? There's like kind of a mischievous look in her eyes, like the eyebrows and everything that she stole off Destro's helmet by the looks of things.
Tristan, Zorana's extra hair looks like a little brain. In fact, it absolutely does. When I was pulling the shots, I was kind of pulling one from each figure, and the impact. I like that they're in package because it really sort of shows that they're that much closer to being in our hands. Yeah, Patty says it. Just going to say Tank Girl. Yeah, absolutely. Put a helmet on her and away you go. She is Tank Girl.
I love her like long gloves as well. I think that's a really nice touch because that's really unique to her particular character because it's going right up to the other
above the elbow, yeah,
part of the upper arm as well. Yeah, I think she's perfect. I love her.
I agree. This is definitely one of those figures where like I look at it and I'm like, I literally can't think of a thing that they could have done differently or sort of changed. The colors hit perfectly. The extra hair is like I said, just like it just sort of elevates it to that new level.
She's on a new level, definitely.
She's on a new level. The vibrate was a great touch. Yeah, that's the Star Wars calls them like vibro blades, I think is what they call them. But this
that sounds a bit sexy, actually, doesn't it?
Well,
the vibrate.
Sort of like, let me just pull this thing out of my backpack. I got to switch it on for best effect. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that we're going to use that term, but Zorana's box has the Cobra logo and not the Dreadnoks logo. Weird.
Well, yeah, you say that, but she was literally Cobra Commander's right-hand person for like ages, more so than she was ever with the Dreadnoks, honestly. Yes. Not saying that's it should be. I'm just saying that there's a heavy Cobra influence for Zorana more so than Xandar, Zartan, and the rest of the Dreadnoks.
Well, and there was even sort of that thing where she and Baroness sort of had that sort of nemesis thing going on because she kind of replaced Baroness in a way. I hadn't noticed that, Facebook user, so thank you for pointing that out. Who knows? It could also be, in production, maybe it gets updated. I don't know, but I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. I agree with you, Chris. Like I think it could kind of go either way, because I kind of identify her as a Cobra figure almost more than a Dreadnought figure. So
does Zartan's single release have the Dreadnoks logo on it?
Yes. Yeah.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. So I would have been happy if they'd have thrown Dreadnoks behind it.
Yeah, for me, one or the other, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, if Torch came with a Cobra logo, I might go like, oh, he probably should have come with a Dreadnought logo.
Kick off. I've had enough of this. Yeah.
Pass. Because the backing card is not the appropriate one.
Roll up to Hasbro and throw a brick through the window because of that.
It would be a long drive for me to go about that. Maybe.
I'll do it.
Patty, forgive me, but in the comics, was she played a bit more mad, unhinged based on her packaging? I'm getting Harley Quinn vibes.
She hasn't really been mad unhinged in any of her media portrayals, has she?
No, I would say that of the Dreadnoks,
Sunbow is
level-headed.
Yeah, Sunbow's probably the most wild she's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But she always seemed to be like the one that would be, yeah, because obviously Cobra Commander wouldn't have, hired her on so close to him if she was mad and crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means, by the way.
In a way, she's almost atypical for the Dreadnoks, right? Because they're a wild motorcycle gang, and they're kind of unhinged, and they're, well, I mean, Zartan famously had mental health issues that sort of got retconned when that wasn't sort of something that people wanted, toys to be.
Yeah. Paranoid schizophrenic, wasn't it, in his original card? Yeah.
And so but she was a spy, and she, like, her sort of thing is subterfuge and espionage, and like she was infiltrating, right?
Yeah.
She got inside
Mainframe. She got inside mainframe.
Well, or the inverse may be true, but there was that thing with mainframe. There was the thing with Falcon as well in the movie. Like, she was clearly able to sort of handle herself in that respect.
Unfortunately, Adam, I have to call it a night.
We're getting close to the end, and I don't blame you. I mean, that's 2 hours. We're over 2 hours, so that's way longer than I thought you'd stay on. And you're 11 o'clock. You're on the East Coast, so that's I totally understand. And I'm gonna tie this up pretty quick too. So,
but thank you for having me on, mate. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for joining, man. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun, and I think everybody that watches enjoys too. So,
I'll stick around for the next one though, depending on what it is.
All right, Dusty.
Yay! Love Dusty.
We've only got 2 left. I'm just saying.
I might be able to squeeze it out. Yeah. I will say on this, I love the fact they gave him the extended goggles and the shorter goggles. I think that's really good, really cool idea.
And just this sort of I think that sort of, they reflected on the fact that some goggles for the Vipers had split, and so maybe there was sort of in the back of their head, they were like, okay, we need ones that fit for sort of both the looks that we want. But yeah, the deco looks great on this. I think they really nailed this one, even with sort of the sort of below the sort of belt kind of shirt end that they've added. The weapon is so on point to the vintage figure.
The bipod.
The bipod, but I love that they're doing the removable mags too. Like, that just adds a level of, like, play value and enjoyment that, like, as a kid we all imagined that, and then, like, we all got into Nerf and stuff, and they had removable mags, and it was like, I want this in my GI Joes. Like, Dean said Dusty. Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a cool figure, and just such a great figure. It's such a great deco. Like I said, the paint apps look great, the harness looks great, backpack looks great. I don't know what more to say.
Brilliant. I love those Dio shots as well, where they had like the sand kicking up and everything.
Yeah. We'll move on to the last one just to be quick. I think of the physical reveals, I love Zorana, but this one with the loadout is like, I was gonna get 2, and now I'm like, I feel like 2 is not gonna be enough. The backpack was, like, so true to the vintage. The weapon is close enough. I love that it comes with the sword, and I love that the sword can clip on the belt or on the backpack. Plus the dagger, plus the pistol. The color is perfect. The fact that it matches, the fact that it's the same, Pantone color to Zaymot and Tomax is a genius move.
Love the update on the backpack as well.
Mm-hmm. It's sort of just enough of an update in terms of the functionality of it and stuff that it still feels like the vintage backpack. Like, it's still kind of close enough to the shape and stuff with the weird sort of V flap on it.
Yeah.
perfect. Again, this wave, I think, is like, I don't think anybody can really complain about this wave.
They will, but you can, yeah,
Well,
you're right.
I don't think there's any valid complaints to be made, but that certainly won't stop people from coming up with some inane like nonsense about the shade is wrong, the shade of red is wrong, or whatever. I don't know.
There'll be something.
It's always something. And like you said, complainers are gonna complain. So
that head sculpt is wicked as well.
yeah, a little bit of an update, kind of, a little bit that is shaped a little less awkwardly than the kind of the weird sort of bucket head that the original one came with.
Yeah.
But, nope. 2 is not enough. This was my favorite troop builder as a kid. I still have most of my original from my kiddie years. Yes, I've got a couple of the vintage ones. They look great. They look great next to each other. The cool thing about these two is that like we've got a lot of blue troops, and so these are going to really sort of pop and really stand out on a shelf as well and on a display. And when you put them behind Zaymot and Tomax, you're right, 2 doesn't really work. I almost feel like you need 4, so that's, I don't know. We'll see if I can work it into the budget. But
20 it is.
Patty, I grabbed 2 on purchase order so far, but I might up to 4. Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, Patty, I know where you ordered them from. I ordered them from the same place, Mike at E-Collectibles. Great chance for us to sort of shout out Mike and jump on E-Collectibles and order this wave. And he's still got the last wave available as well, believe it or not. So you could get an order in for the twins and your Crimson Guards. You can get them all in one box. But then you'd probably be waiting for the twins longer than you need to. So maybe don't do that. Do them as a separate order. But that was all the reveals. So many great figures. Not a single one that I'm looking at as like a hard pass. A couple that I want to see the physical before I sort of really fall in love with them, because that's what's happened. But all the physical ones look fantastic, and I can't wait to get them in hand. As is almost always the case, Tristan calling it a night. Cheers, guys. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tristan.
As is almost always the case, I can't help myself as soon as they come up for pre-order. So they're looking great. I'm loving what's going on with this line. Delays aside, I'm just happy that we're getting new GI Joes. I'm just loving that they're in the scale and with the detail and with the accessories and the deluxe figures and the repaints. Like, I just love it all. I love it all.
Ditto.
Thanks again for everything, guys. The positivity is A+. Oh, get out of here. Keeps us excited for the line. Certainly lots of great stuff coming. Appreciate both of you guys. Well, I can only speak for myself, but I don't think Chris will disagree. It's really, it's really something that we love, and it's something that is just fun. It should be fun. And if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. And I have the group to thank for that. I mean, we've got a great group. You guys are all fantastic. I love chatting with you guys. I love chatting with you, Chris. I love
right back at you.
Just love GI Joes. I love chatting about them, and such a great live stream. It was great to see Chris, but make sure you get some rest. Yeah, because there's probably going to be something come up tomorrow that you're gonna have to do more work on. So
I'll sleep here and then just keep this on, and then when I wake up,
everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Yeah. You just sleepwalk into one of these one time and you just report on something you dreamed about, and you'll be like, I can't find the source, but
it's the news burst. I don't know what's happened.
I dreamt of a DNA strand, and now I have to. Oh, my phone's about to die too. Well, I guess it really is time to go.
Thank you very much for having me, dude. Really appreciate it.
I thank you for jumping on, and thank you for holding out as long as you did. I know that it's later for you than it is for me. I hope that your beard patch grows back in. Always fun to chat with you. Always fun to chat with you guys too in the viewer verse.
Great.
If you're watching this on Facebook, great. If you're watching this on YouTube, great. It's still weird that it's on YouTube, that it's just out in the world for nobody to watch. But thank you to everybody. Thanks again, guys. We'll do this again soon. We'll do a Saturday video and chat about more sort of like, speculate maybe what accessories we want to see or something.
Can I come back?
No, this was the last time you're gonna be. Absolutely, man. Of course, you're always welcome. Anybody's welcome. You're just the only one that ever agrees to do it.
Amazing.
I ask people and they're like, "Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want to be on camera." So I'm like, "Okay, that's fair enough." But it's been a pleasure. We could probably just go back and forth with this banter for forever.
Hours.
So we won't. I will call it. It's been fun. Thank you, everybody, and we'll chat again soon. Good night. Get your pre-orders in. Bye-bye.